too, to consider the waters and the connection, like historically too, about what the waters meant, not only as like a means of sustenance for our bodies and for watering the plants and the renewal of the earth and cleansing, as a mode of travel. Before we had these paved interstates, we had our own set of interstates on the waters, and I think that's important to consider when we're thinking of this history.
For us to strengthen our culture, and art is one way of doing that, and that's what I've been involved in. There's a big difference between when you go home, that's meaningful. And to me, that's what it is. If I was born in someplace else and not native, I'd be happy there. But this is who we are and what we deal with. And because of how things are, I think education is so important that our young people know and understand who they are.
But in general, people don't realize that we are a sovereign nation, the Seneca Nation, that we have our own government, that we have our own officials that we elect to our government, that we have our own territory, that we have and maintain our own language, that we have what we call Ongwe Onweka, a way of life which is still ongoing. And this is our traditional way of life. But there are Seneca people who maintain that way of life.
It's not that it wasn't there, and you can see that because we still have our ancient songs, we still have all these things, but it's just our communities are reconnecting, and through that reconnection really brings health and wellness. So you don't always hear that side of the story, and it's tied, the canal, Erie Canal, and other canals were part of that narrative.
People are so mindless when it comes to appreciation and gratitude for the really good things that they do have. And that's what we're really dealing with here. Picture, most people will say, well, it doesn't affect me, so I'm not going to do anything about it. And that's the change that we're really trying to get people to think about we, but everybody's about today and me, So making that change, of going from me to we is a big one.
On in our communities at the time. And so what happened to some of the medicinal knowledge? What happened to some of the fishing knowledge? What happened to some of the hunting knowledge and gathering of plants? All these things are now hindered because of all these other external influences that are coming into Haudenosaunee communities. And if you look forward thinking from that, if you tie all those things together, and that brings into the current work that I do today, is kind of looking at some of those, we would call it traumatic historical incidents that happen in our communities that may have played into the health disparities that we see today as Indigenous people. And if you look at some of the research that's evolving over time, is that the reconnection to land-based learning, the reconnection to tradition, culture, language, traditional ancestral activities, traditional medicines and foods, is really a healthy way of cancer prevention. It's a healthy way of diabetes prevention. It's a healthy way of living, and it's something that was, it was still there. It's never disappeared.